Hello and welcome to the video for Excel 2 SAM projects. Let's begin by going to the sam2010.course.com website and logging in using your username, which is probably your full email, including topper@wku.edu. I have a different account that I use for my demo purpose. Once you log in, you will click on SAM Assignments, and then you will click on the Excel 2 link. And you will see that you have 5 attempts for this project. And when you click on this, as usual, you'll have a link for the instructions that you're to follow, which we can open and view those. I will enable editing just to get rid of the yellow bar there. I can see the project that I'm working on here. And step 1, as always, is to download the first last name underscore 1 file and save it as first last name underscore 2. So I will go back to my browser and I will open the start file, enable editing, and I can see that I have the student name here in cell B4, so this is good. And then I will do File Save As, so that I can change the name or location, save it on my desktop with a new name underscore 2. So now I have student name underscore 2 saved on my desktop, and I've done step 1 of my instructions here. Whoops. Step 1 of my instructions. I did verify that the name appeared in the documentation sheet as it was supposed to. Step 2. Switch to the Sheet 1 worksheet. Complete the following tasks. Apply a Foundry theme, bold the entire worksheet, change all the column widths to 20, and change the column width of A to be 0.83. So again, as I've done before, I'm going to make these windows share some space in my recording window so that I can see both the instructions and my worksheet as I'm working through these guys. Okay, so switch to the Sheet 1 worksheet. Complete the following tasks. Apply the Foundry theme. Themes are in the Page Layout tab. On the left-hand side we see Themes, and I can select from the themes. These are alphabetical, so I can go down to Foundry, which is F. So I've applied the Foundry theme. Now, not a lot is on our sheet currently, but we have changed some default color schemes, we've changed some default fonts, and some other things have changed. I'm going to bold the entire worksheet. The way I do this is by selecting this little area between the leftmost in the columns and the topmost in the rows. If I just select that one area, the whole sheet gets selected. And then I can go under Home and I can apply bold, and now every cell in the sheet, and I can see that the bold is selected for every one of these cells. That's good. I'm also going to change all the columns to a width of 20. And again, if I select everything here, I can then say column width of 20, and this will apply to all of the columns because I have the entire worksheet selected. So selecting the entire worksheet and then right click column width. So now all my columns have a column width of 20, and I can see that. Change the width of column A to 0.83. So A, column width 0.83. So I have a very narrow column A, but all the others are 20. Okay, step 2 is complete. Moving right along, we're on step 3. So on this step 3, it says in cell B1, so there I have B1 selected, enter the text, "We Save You National Bank." Now I'm going to type the text up here in this window, and it's going to show off that "We Save You National Bank." It's going to show off an interesting point. The text, this window shows the contents of the cell, and the contents are just this basic text and it's unformatted. But when I look at that, I can see that it's got formatting. It's got the bold that we applied on the previous step. It's got the theme, the font Rockwell, which comes from the theme that we selected in the previous step. So in the spreadsheet itself, in the row column combinations, we see things that are formatted like our number formats or our formulas and so on. But the text itself, the contents, is just basic text or basic numbers or basic formulas or basic functions. Apply the title cell style. So in my cell style window here, we'll come down and select title. and change the font size to 28 point, which it is, and enter the worksheet subtitle, subprime loans for everyone in cell B2. So here in B2 I'm going to enter subprime loans for everyone in cell B2. Apply the title style to that as well. Merge and center B1 across B through F. So B1 goes B through F, merge and center. And then merge and center B2, B through F. Okay, so we have done step 3. Moving on to step 4. Enter the row titles for the ranges B3 to B5 and E3, E5 shown in Table 1. Use the Create From Selection buttons, which is in the Formula tab to find Names group, to assign row titles to the ranges B3, B5 and E3, E5 to the adjacent cells respectively. Okay, so let's make a little more room here so I can see what I'm doing. So I've got this data that I'm typing in. So B3 has the value price, B4 down payment, B5 loan amount, E3 rate, E4 years, and E5 is monthly payment. So I've entered the text here, and then it says use the Create From Selection button, Formulas tab to find Names group, to assign the row titles in the range B3, B5 and E3, E5 to the adjacent cells C3, C5 and F3, F5. In other words, these adjacent cells, the cell immediately to the right of price, I want this cell to be named price, and this one down payment, and this one loan amount. So the way that we do this is we use the Create From Selections button in the Formulas tab in the Define Names group. So here's the Define Names group. And what I can do is I can use the Create From Selection option. So I want to take this area here and say Create From Selection, and what it'll do is it will create names in these blank cells based on the text in the columns to the left. So I say OK, and what's happened here, now when I select on C3, I can see that it has the name price associated with this cell. So I can reference this cell C3 either by the row column combination C3 or by calling it price. Likewise, this is called down payment and this is called loan amount. I can see in a drop down list that there are 3 named columns so far. Same thing here. I'm going to highlight the cells that I have text with, and then the blank cells to the right I'm going to use Create From Selection. Left column is checked and say OK, and now in my drop down list I have 6 cells that have named values. So if I want to talk about the rate cell, I'm talking about this one. If I want to talk about the monthly payment, I'm talking about F5. So I can use F5 or monthly underscore payment, and either way I'm referring to the contents of this particular cell, F5. Okay, step 5. Enter the following information. In C3, I want to enter in 430000. Okay, and that's also the price cell. I want to enter into C4 110000 and 75.75 in F3 7.75% with the percent symbol there. 25 years in F4. And then in C5, right, which is the loan amount, in C5 I want to enter the formula price, which is C3 minus down underscore payment. And it's able to know that price minus down payment is the same thing as saying C3 minus C4. Either way, I would get the exact same result here. And then finally, in cell F5, I want to enter the formula that is, and I can enter it up here just as easily, negative PMT, the value of rate divided by 12, 12 times years, whoops, and then loan underscore amount, right parenthesis. My window's kind of scrolled off to the right there a little bit. But I've got that formula, and there's a minus. Notice that there's a minus. It doesn't show up super well, but there is a negative sign to the left of it. So it's equals minus payment. And the reason for that is the payment function will return a negative value because there's money coming in that you borrow and money going out when you make the payments. And that's negative because it's money payments going out. But I want it to display as a positive value here. So I put the minus sign in front of it. Step 6. Begin creating the amortization schedule by entering the years 1 through 25 in B7, B31. So B7, 1, and then B8, 2, and so on. I want to enter this amortization schedule. Oops, I'm sorry, I'm going the wrong direction here. B7, 2, all the way down to B31. And I could type these in manually, but Excel is smart and it sees that I've got a 1 and a 2. I highlight both of those and I put the cursor on the lower right hand corner, and as I drag you'll see it says 3, 4, 5, and I can drag all the way down to 25 here, and it will type those values in for me automatically. So I've got those values typed in, and then enter the column headings and the year 1 data shown in table 2. And specifically I want to come up here to cell B6. B6 I want to enter years, and in cell C6 I want to enter beginning with 2 N's, spell it correctly. Beginning balance in cell D6 I want to enter paid on principal. E6 I want to enter ending balance, and then F6 interest paid. C7 should have equals C5. D7, in this I'm going to enter $F, $5, which is an absolute reference to that cell F5. As I copy this formula, the F5 will remain that value for my monthly payment, times 12 minus F7, and E7 is equal to the formula, the function, present value, with a rate, which is $F, $3, and again that's an absolute reference. The dollar signs mean that the row F and the column 3 are not going to change as I copy this formula down or across. Divided by 12, comma, 12 times the absolute value for F4 minus B7, and then my third argument, which is the payment argument. I can kind of see the little pop-up is telling me for the present value function I'm giving the rate of the loan, the number of payments, and then the payment amount, and it's telling me what is the present value of this loan. That's what I'm calculating here. Absolute reference to $F, $5, the cell. Right parenthesis to close. Okay, so I've got those values typed in. F7, and now for this last part in cell F7, let's say equals $F, $5 times 12 minus the difference of cell C7, which is the beginning balance, minus E7, which is the ending balance. So I'm going to subtract that difference, and that gives me my interest paid. All right. So there I have those values typed in, ready to move on to the next step 7. Make the following formula changes. Specify that the year 1 ending balance is the year 2 beginning balance by entering E7 in cell C8. So here in C8, I'm going to say that the beginning balance is equal to E7, which is to say that last year's ending balance is this year's beginning balance. Copy the formulas in the range D7, F7. So here from D7, F7, copy those down. So I highlight and then I can drag down. And what you'll see is that I'm calculating my paid principal, which is based on interest paid using the reference to the monthly payment, that fixed value to the monthly payment. And notice that that is a $F, $5. So even though I copied down the absolute reference to monthly payment did not copy down, but the interest paid did copy down. And likewise, the ending balance was calculated based on the rate, the monthly payment, and the year's amount. And likewise, the interest paid formula copied down where I have absolute references and relative references. Non-absolute are called relative references, and those are keeping up with themselves. So that information should make sense with what we're doing there. Use the fill handle to copy the year 2 data. So all this year 2 data, I'm going to copy this down to the 25th year. So I'm going to go all the way down to year 25. And I've got all my copies there, and notice that my ending balance at this point is 0, so that's very good. It means I did this correctly, which is what it should be if I'm doing the payments based on 25 years. So that end balance is 0. Okay, step 8. Enter the total titles and formulas shown in table 3. So let's go down here to cell C32. Let's type in some of these things. So this is paid on principal. D32 is the sum of D7 colon D31. And again, I can manually type those in, or I can use the drag and drop to do those. I'll just type them in manually in this case. I can see that E32 is total interest paid, and F32 is equal to, again, the sum. It's not case sensitive, so I can use all uppercase or lowercase. It doesn't matter. I'm going to use lowercase this in this example just to show you that it works either way. F7, F31. So there's the total interest paid, which again is the sum of all those interest values. I can see that by scrolling. And the paid on principal, the amount of money that I paid on principal, is the sum of all those paid on principal values. F33, so if I ever get in a weird state, I can always hit escape. On F33 at this point, according to the instructions, I'm going to say that this is equal to C4 and E34 total cost, and F34 is D32 plus F32 plus F33. So this tells me the amount that I paid on principal plus the amount that I paid on interest plus this initial value in C4, which remember was our C4 value was our down payment, the money we paid one time to begin with. That's how much this entire loan involved. It's a very large number. You look at this, that's almost $1 million, $835,000 over 25 years, principal, interest, and down payment for this particular loan is what we see. Okay, make the following formatting changes. Format the numbers in the range C3, C5. So let's go back up here. So C3 to C5, let's format these numbers. and C7 F7. Let me show you a little trick here. I can hold down the control key and do C7, whoops, hold down the control key and I can go to C7 F7. You can see that I have two separate areas highlighted at one time. Now, you can highlight the one and apply the format, and then highlight the other and apply the format. But if you want to do multiple ranges selected at the same time and then apply the format only once to both of those, you can do it by selecting one, holding down the control key, and then selecting the second, third, fourth, and as many separate ranges as you want to. So let me just do these two together as currency format. So in the home group, there have currency format is here inside the drop-down list. Now I'm also supposed to apply currency format to cell D32, so we come down to D32. So D32 is supposed to have currency format, and it does. F32, F34, F32 through F34. Let's make that currency format, and it is. Okay, so we have those done. Step B, part B of this step, says to format the numbers in the range C8 F31 as number format with a thousandths separator. So C8 is right here down to F31. Okay, so it's these values. We want to do this as number with a thousandths separator. So I can do number here. But the thousandths separator is in this window. Now how did we do that? Sorry, that was a little fast. Let me show you what I did there. In the Home tab, there is the number group, and in the bottom right hand corner of the number group, if you click on this window, it pulls up a Format Cells dialog box. And in this Format Cells dialog box, if you select number, there's actually a thing called a Use a Thousandths separator. And if you so that is where I did this. So I selected the range in question. Did that a little fast. Select the range in question. Number group, thousandths separator. There's actually 4 different ways of doing that for how you handle your negative numbers. I'm leaving the first one selected. Okay, that's actually slightly different, I believe, than using this comma style. I think the comma style is actually slightly different than the number with the thousandths separator. So just to see this, notice that when I clicked it, it kind of formatted over a dash there. It may still count that as correct. Edit, undo. But the way I know it'll be correct is if we use the Format Cells dialog and we check the thousandths separator. Okay. Center the data in the range B6, B31. So B6, B31. Let's go down here and let's center this. Again, in the alignment group, there is a center option. And then finally, right align the column headings, C8, C6, F6. So C6, F6, right align, which is in the alignment group. Step 10, make the following formatting changes. So we do some more formatting here. Format cells B1 and B2 and the range B6, F6 to have dark red from the standard font color. So B1 and B2. So B1 and B2, I'll do these first and then I'll do the other range. And this is not from the theme colors but from the standard colors to be dark red, which is this very first one, dark red. I can see the pop-up hint. I also want to format B6, F6 to have this dark red. So B6, F6 also has this standard dark red. Format the range B3, F5 to have a fill color of dark red and a font color of white. B3, F5. So B3, F5. Okay, so this has the fill color of, so here's my fill color, the paint box. So it has a fill color of standard dark red, and it has a font color, which is this, the A thing, of the very first thing, background white. Add a thick box border around B3 F5. So select B3 F5, select that, and then apply a thick box border. The borders are in the font group here. I can see the default is a bottom border. Before I want to do something that's not the default, I select the arrow to the right, and I see thick box border is an option in the borders group. So now I've applied that thick box border around that area. And then finally, for this step 10, change the sheet tab name to loan calculator and standard dark red. So this is going to change the name to loan calculator. Press enter to accept that value, and then I can right click and change the tab color to, in the standard group, it doesn't quite show up on my screen, so let me move it up here, the tab color to be dark red, standard dark red. Okay. Step 12, use the page setup dialog box to select fit to and black and white options. So let's go to the page setup dialog box, which is in the page layout. The page setup dialog box is in the page setup group, the dialog box you pull from clicking the bottom right hand corner. And in this area, according to the instructions, whoops, I can't see it here. There we go. According to my instructions, I'm supposed to select fit to and black and white options. So I want it to fit to, so it's going to be one page by one page, and I also want it to be black and white. And my black and white options, there we are, sorry, didn't know where that was. Under the sheet tab, I have the black and white options. So fit to is under the page tab, and black and white checkbox is under the sheet tab. Step 12 is to unlock the cells in the ranges C3, C4, so C3, C4, and F3, F4. So I will leave those selected, hold down the control key and select F3, F4. So I've got those two ranges both selected at the same time. I could do them independently, one at a time. Could do all four cells one at a time, but this allows me to do it all at once. And so I need to unlock these cells and then protect the worksheet. So to unlock the cells, I want to go in the format cells, which I can do by right clicking and say format cells, or I can go to the format cells in the home group, and in the number, alignment, font, border, fill, protection, in the protection tab there is locked, and by default these are set to lock, but I click the turn off the locked, so that unlocks them. So that's how I unlock the cells. And then protect the worksheet. So now to protect the worksheet, we go under the Review tab and we select Protect Sheet. Now, because we have, do not enter a password here. Just use all the defaults and say OK. Now, because we have these cells unlocked before we protected it, I can now edit those values, but I can't edit the other things. So the loan amount, for example, I try to edit that value and it complains. But if I go under the down payment and make that $50,000 instead of $100,000, I can make those changes. Or the price of the house, if I change the price of the house from $430,000 to $300,000, I can make, $3 million. I can enter these four values that I unlocked before I protected the sheet, but everything else that was not unlocked, I can't change, for example, my monthly payment or any of these other values. Those are hard-coded in. Remove grid lines by clicking View. Okay, so let's remove the grid lines in the Page Layout tab. It's telling us specifically where to go, the Sheet Options, into the Sheet Options. Sorry, the Sheet Options view, there it is. Remove grid lines. So grid lines, I'm going to uncheck the View Grid Lines. So now I don't have any grid lines on here. Great. Number 14 is our last step. The WeSaveU determined that the credit agency reduced one of the customer's credit score. WeSaveU has decided, therefore, to raise the interest rate by 1% for that customer. To do so, change the interest rate in cell F3 to 8.75%. So this value is supposed to now be 8.75%. I probably need to go back here and change this value for price and down payment to what they were before. So let me go back there and change those values also. Sorry, I shouldn't have done that. The values for those were stated initially here at the beginning to be 4.3 and our initial down payment. Okay. So I've got those values in, but I do change the rate based on this last step of my instruction, step 14, and hint, the monthly payment should change to, so now my monthly payment should be 2630.86, and the total interest paid, so the total interest paid is 469.25789. Okay, so that's great, and I was showing you this is actually a very, very powerful spreadsheet because I can change the amount that I want to borrow or the amount that I'm paying down or the interest rate or the years for the payment and come up with some interesting numbers. But at this point, before I do any of that, let's go ahead and just submit this for score. So I've got my work done. I've got the file saved correctly. I say save. I close this up. I go back to my spreadsheet. I upload this from my desktop, finding the one that is C4, which is what I'm supposed to be submitting here, C4L1A, and I submit this. I have a short delay here while I wait for this to come through, and then we'll submit it. Okay, so here we have our first results for Excel2. Let's see how we did. Ooh, very close, but we missed one step here. I mistyped the text down payment in cell E33. So in cell E33, text should be down payment, total interest paid. Okay, well, I messed that up, so let's fix that. So go back to my, I don't need that file, I want to go back to my project that I was working on, C4 step 2, and go back to my instructions document. So E33 is supposed to say down payment. E33 is supposed to say down payment. Ooh, and I can't. That is an interesting thing. I'm locked right now. So I actually have to come back in. Remember, I did my locking of my data, so I need to come up here in the data. In the review, I need to unprotect the sheet. Then I can type the missing statement down payment in here, and then I can protect the sheet again. Okay, so now we're good to go. So save that, close it, submit it, SAM assignments, Excel2, 4 attempts left, upload the file that I just resaved, C4L1A, student name underscore 2, C4L1A, student name underscore 2, submit this, and then we should have some good results. After a little delay here, Excel2 comes back, and there's my second attempt, and I think in this case probably going to find that we got perfect score, and that is Excel2.